So clarifying that the government can limit access to federal funds on the basis of the applicable authorizing statutes, regulations, and terms. Essentially, yes, the government can do so in complying with regulations, and then that the previous order does not bar both the president and much of the federal government from exercising their own lawful authorities to withhold funding without the prior approval of the district court, meaning, again, they can disperse the monies that they were allocated within the law, within the confines of the law, and that the government does not have to seek preclearance from the courts on terminating funding as long as they have the authority to do it, as governed by the applicable statutory, regulatory, or grant terms. So essentially, the court is confirming what the Trump administration has maintained and what common sense can project, which is that within the confines of regulatory and normal authority, of course, you can do what you want with your own money, and you don't need a court's approval to do so.
Yep, that's...
Here's what I think is a joke. That you have these partisan hack Democrat attorney generals. They get together, and the only thing they know how to do is try to nullify the results of the last election by venue shopping these district court judges. They find the most lunatic liberals they can. They file lawsuits knowing full well they're going to try to usurp the president's authority, tie this up in court for years.
That stuff is sacrosanct. And you've got people going in there who don't know anything about that system.
But these are also just restraining orders.
Doing this.
They're
He knows
asking
nothing about it.
What you just said is so profound. You said these people don't know anything and they don't know what they're doing.
That's right.
But they're appointees.
About Elon Musk.
I understand. But they are appointees of the duly elected president. So your view, you're here as our legal expert, but your view is because you don't personally believe they know enough that the duly elected president, who appointed a Treasury Secretary and who appoints special appointees like Elon Musk, shouldn't be able to act as the president because you don't personally believe they know enough?
Well, they
is
certainly
that how it works?
No.
Or do elections mean anything to you?
Well, it's got nothing to do with elections.
Of course it does. He's doing
the fact
exactly
of the
what
matter
we
is
thought.
there is a law.
The truth was told. Hold on.
The media and the Democrats are desperate to separate Elon Musk from Donald Trump. Now, some of the reasons why this is the case is because, as you can see from the intro, I highlighted how the federal judge agreed that, yeah, Trump is allowed to control funds that's allocated to him, right? It's like a budget. Hey, you're allowed to operate within this parameter. Okay, I choose not to use any of the resources that you allocated to me. Done. And the fact that, you know, I showed the videos of how the federal judges are trying to block Donald Trump. A lot of these federal judges are getting exposed to having conflicts of interest. One judge, he had his wife, who's a recipient, a grant recipient of USAID, and he blocked USAID, Trump's approach on USAID. Like, make it make sense. Deep state panic, online searches for criminal defense lawyers skyrockets in D.C. Well, any coincidence? Is that a coincidence, guys? Why is this not making headlines? Over $2.7 trillion in fraudulent U.S. government payments discovered. And Democrats were hoopla-ing, telling you, there's no way Doge will be able to cut $2 trillion in fraudulent spending. And this is the funny part about the Democrats and the liberals, that they're coming across as the people who are just doubters. They don't bring any approach. They don't bring any solutions. The most comfortable position for a liberal is to be a critic, not a solutions-oriented person. These are not solution-oriented people. They're just people who like to complain about stuff. They tell you that you can't do something. It's a very pessimistic political ideology. Conservatives say, here's our approach, and let the outcomes land where they are, and then we'll make adjustments based on the outcomes. Democrats and liberals and leftists, they try to distance, oh, you can't cut $2 trillion out without touching Social Security. And lo and behold, all we had to do was do some digging, and there's over $2.7 trillion in fraudulent U.S. government payments discovered. This is from the Gateway Pundit. On Wednesday, Real American Voice White House reporter Brian Glenn asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the trillions in fraudulent Medicare and Medicaid payments that have been going overseas. But the left wonder why they lost. I think I'm going to do a video. It's probably not going to be this video because I want to keep this short. I'll probably do a video of why Republicans have a great chance to dominate the next 8 to 10 years. But before I get into that, I want to show you a segment of this podcast called Pod Save America. Apparently, they're more of a leftist kind of podcast. And they're even lamenting the fact that a lot of the things that Elon Musk and Donald Trump is doing is things they admit that Democrats themselves and themselves try to do in the government. Let's take a look.
And also, as much as I want to throw all of Trump's campaign promises in his face, like the price of eggs is not down, you have not ended the war in Ukraine, et cetera, you said he'd do it in 24 hours. I think most voters get that it was a shtick and they're going to give him some time to actually get things done.
Trump is he is moving so fast. They are doing a lot. It's not just the perception of it. They hit the ground running in a serious way. It's like genuinely impressive in a dark and sinister way, but it's nonetheless impressive. And if you're turning on the news every day and hearing about all these different things Trump is doing and all the different criticisms coming out of it, you may not like all of it, but like in comparison to how people felt about Joe Biden being basically absent, I imagine for a lot of people it's a welcome change.
The energy, and he's signing things and he's affecting all that. I think that is playing extraordinarily well.
It's like, you don't want to seem like you're opposed to government efficiency, but obviously now they're just rampaging through like the government Venmo and shutting shit off left and right.
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just lamenting our situation.
Me too. No, I love it. I felt the same way because I've seen the messaging memos, and it's like, you know, the young people, Gen Z, they like Doge and what Elon's doing because, you know, they see government as sclerotic and inefficient, and they like the move fast and break things ethos, and they want to get stuff done, and they like the results. And it's like, yeah, yes, of course, we all want that. We all know that government is slow. We all know that government can be inefficient. We all know that the bureaucracy can be bloated. We all worked in the fucking White House. We tried to reorganize the government. We tried to find efficiency. It's hard to do.
And honestly, some of this is pretty annoying because it's some of the stuff we should have done.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. You could do some of this.
It's always funny how leftists are always, and I said this in my last video about voters were right about Biden's economy. Liberals always seem to be the late to the party. They always seem to realize too late. And conservatives always seem to see things coming like a mile away because conservatives have a predisposition to seeing how things can go wrong versus liberals who think of things of how they can go right. And usually, if you're more, I don't want to say pessimistic, but if you're more realistic or you're aware of what could go wrong, but you wish for the best, you'll make better decisions than people who just blindly believe, oh, everything's going to go my way. And that's how liberals have been sowing this stuff. They keep talking about this stuff. Look, the White House press secretary telling the media that they won't let Democrats sow division in the administration. And this is what they try to do by calling Elon Musk President Musk, right? They keep trying to create fractions with J.D. Vance in the campaign. Like, the tactics are getting stale and old like this party, the Democratic Party, right? And this is what I'm saying. I think the Republican Party has a great chance, depending on how they carry this forward, the next 10, sometimes even 15 years. I think they may be the first in a long time, I think since Reagan, to have 3 Republican presidents back to back to back. If they govern right, if they can give the outcomes that I think they can, if they live up to their potentials. But the Democrats, right, with these judges, these activist judges, they're trying to make it really hard for Trump to complete his agenda, right? And I got more videos coming for you guys coming down the pipe. But it's so aggravating that it's blatant. It's blatant that the Democrats are trying to get in the way of the Republican Party. Last 16 years, it was 2 Democrat presidents with 1 Republican president for the last 16 years. Obama, Trump, Biden. 16 years, the last 16 years ran by Democratic majority power. Democrats had more years of power. Yet you're lamenting, oh, why we didn't do that. That's what voters were asking Kamala Harris during the campaign trail. I don't understand. Like, it's the only thing I can explain is that you guys don't want to self-reflect. You guys don't want to admit that you got it wrong, that you were tricked, that you believed in flawed data, right? That you're only spewing narratives. Because my argument has always been, this is my argument about leftists, why I never was a leftist. Conservatives try to show you the truth and try to reference something in reality. A liberal tries to show you a perception. They try to get you to believe a narrative and try to get you to buy into a perception of reality. They try to change your lens instead of directing at what you see. And I think that's the biggest problem with the left. This is why many people feel like they get deceived into voting Democrat, get tricked into voting Democrat. And in the long-term play, this is not a good look for the Democratic Party. Everything you open out of your mouth, all voters have to do is sit back and wait. And then you find out, yeah, Trump was right all along. Trump had the power to do this. Trump has the power to buy out massive amount of federal employees. DC, in the area of DC, criminal defense lawyer is the most searched term in the area. But Democrats are vehemently defending them. The party of bureaucracy. But I digress. I want you guys to check out this segment, and then I got to show you this segment with the White House secretary debating the media about Doge's cuts. Let's take a look.
If I can just rebut some of what Maria was saying, Democrats need to come up with some new messaging. To say that everything is unconstitutional, that they disagree with, when we have not seen a ruling from a judge dictating that the actions of the executive are yet considered unconstitutional. We don't know. We need to allow the process to work itself through. But what we do know, Wolf, is that the American people look at the massive amount of money that this federal government spends, and they expect the newly elected president to do something about it. We can't say the same thing about our Democratic friends on the other side of the aisle.
All right, guys, everybody stand by. We're going to continue this.
If I can.
Hey, Sherman Michael deserves his own show, guys. I mean, masterful. You don't have a popular mandate. Donald Trump got elected ranting on the fact that, hey, I want to cut the government. We need to cut down bloat. Democrats are vehemently defending institutions where they can't tell you where billions of dollars go. Doge finds $2 trillion in fraudulent spending, and people are trying to make excuses for it. People are trying to say that Elon Musk don't have evidence. Trump is suspending all these NGOs, which I exposed in my previous video, where there's 7 NGOs that is getting a lot, if not most of their operation is funded by U.S. money, but they're not accountable to the U.S. Make it make sense. And you got federal judges anointed and appointed by Democrats trying to get in the way of Trump's administration. And you don't think the American people will largely conclude, yeah, this is political. Democrats out of y'all damn mind. Such a ridiculous party. Such a ridiculous party. And instead, their supporters will still come out and oh no, they're good. The Republicans are tricking you. No. Whatever the Republicans are doing, they're not as bad as the Democrats. The Democrats are way worse. The Democrats deceive you. They lie to you, right? Tulsi Gabbard just got confirmed as our national intelligence director. She supported Bernie Sanders when the Democrats railroaded him. And this is the kind of party the Democratic Party are. They're a party of cowards, weasels, and backstabbers. She stuck up for this man, Bernie Sanders, when he got essentially the Joe Biden treatment, and he voted no against her. That's the same thing the Democrats do to their voters. Their voters vote for them, put them in power, having a certain expectation, K-shaped recovery, and the K-shaped recovery never came. But you want to complain about Trump never keeping his promises. If Democrats imply the same kind of level of skepticism that they apply on Donald Trump to their own candidates, I think they will get a lot better candidates. But I digress. I want you to check out this segment with the White House press secretary, Caroline, going against the reporters on what proof do you have of fraud?
If there's some proof, evidence, is the White House willing to share evidence of those fraud claims, or can Elon Musk come to the briefing room and share material evidence of what he's talking about?
Sure, I would love for Elon Musk to come to the briefing room. That's why we had him go to the Oval Office yesterday, where I think he provided great answers. He was speaking in layman's terms, speaking common sense to all of you in the media, but also to Americans at home. But I would say especially to all of you in the media, because I think it's a real fallacy that there's this alleged lack of transparency when it comes to Doge.
There's another thing I want to add, and then we'll jump right back into the video. The media, the mainstream media, pretends that Doge is not transparent what they're doing. They put all their ish online. That's how we found out about the $59 million that they spent a couple weeks ago to New York, illegals in New York, illegal migrants in New York. That's how we found out about it. He put, it's all there online. That's what I'm saying. The internet has all the receipts, and the Democrats are acting like we don't know how to read. The media does not cover a lot of this stuff, so then they can feign, oh, there's no transparency coming for Doge. We don't know how they're doing things. No, you're not covering it. You don't want to bring attention to it. I just showed you throughout this video, I kept putting out that article from the Gateway Pundit that there's $2.7 trillion found in fraudulent payment transactions. No headlines about it. The media doesn't want to cover it. So you ignore a story, then you go to the White House press secretary and act like, Where's the transparency? What we don't know. We don't have any hard evidence of what they're doing. When literally Elon Musk is telling people, go on the governmentspending.com. I forgot the website. Go look up these departments and you can see item by item what they spend their money on using their budget. Demonstrable proof and evidence. But the media is going to sit here and act like, oh yeah, there's no harm. These are all accusations by Elon Musk. Okay, here's the receipts.
President Trump and Elon Musk have been incredibly transparent on what Doge is doing. There is an X account with the Doge handle. They are tweeting out what they are doing on a daily basis. They have a website where they are posting the receipts of the contracts that they are reviewing and the payments that they have stopped from going out the door for the secretaries of our departments.
Honestly, at this point, I think people who vote Democrat, they're not paying attention enough. I think that's what's wrong with why people still vote Democrat. Is that they don't know enough about Democrats. They don't know the track record of Democrat yet. That's why they still vote for Democrat.
Have stopped from going out the door. And I would also say that before it was Elon Musk making our government efficient and accountable, it was some unnamed bureaucrat that none of you knew. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's also now one of the most highly scrutinized men in the world alongside President Trump because of what he's doing and the access that he is allowing. So there's great transparency. As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent, and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that Doge found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that Doge identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people?
Absolutely nothing, but it does push the interests of the Democratic Party and their ideology.
Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that Doge is identifying daily. They're moving very fast. There's a lot of paper that we can show you, but we're happy to do it. This administration has been more than transparent about what Doge is doing. And here's one of their tweets that they posted about the mine. I believe this is in Pennsylvania, where the federal employee retirement system is being processed. Did anybody know this was even happening in our country before Elon Musk talked about it in the Oval Office yesterday? A lot of Americans didn't. So we are providing transparency and accessibility on a daily basis when it comes to Doge.
But where was this? Like, this is the funny part about the media. Where was this for Biden? Biden was the least transparent president we had in a while. He didn't want to tell us anything. He barely held any press conferences. Actually, let's check out this clip from CNN that I want to show you, and then I'll wrap up with my final thought.
It was surreal, but I got to tell you, I know what you're not showing here. Musk gave 7 specific examples off the top of his head of where the corruption and fraud were. I know you didn't play the clips. He was talking about a contractor that had a 3-month contract. He was paid for 20 years. He was talking about welfare benefits that were being paid to someone that was technically 150 years old. He was talking about line items in the Treasury that had no justification.
There's no any like he doesn't present any actual evidence.
Well, he's standing there in the Oval Office. Do you expect him to come in with 10,000 pages? And I have to be clear, to complain about this administration about transparency, when this president takes open questions on a daily basis, yet Joe Biden didn't show up for a press conference this 6 months, is insane. Well, these guys are being extremely transparent. They don't have to sit there and take the questions, but they do. It's all on the website. It's all out there.
It's not transparency to say things that have no factual background. I mean, to say we're cutting, we've found $1 billion or $1 trillion in waste with no specifics, that's just talk. That's not transparency.
It's 23 days in here, guys. 23 days. You're talking about $2.3 billion that was saved last year. These guys are saving $2.3 billion a day.
Right, but
it's incredible.
That's what they're saying. But where's the proof?
You're waiting. You're not going to be satisfied till he shows up with 10,000 pages. But
about 10,000 pages.
Yeah.
He's giving very specific things,
yes,
but he's not actually giving any evidence of that.
It's all going to come because what they also said was, if we have to go to Congress, we'll go to Congress.
Right, but
we'll show where it is.
Some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not
that's
talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants? That was FEMA money for migrants? That's okay now?
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. What I'm saying is the portrayal by him is.
I think this will sum up my final thoughts very adequately, right? They told Trump in 2016, be transparent, show us your income, so they can lambast them. And Trump didn't even want to show his tax returns. And someone in the federal government found Trump's tax returns and leaked it to the media. So they just took his tax returns. They invaded his privacy, right? They went against his will. And they just took okay, we'll leak his tax returns. Someone in DC decided that. Because this is the problem that I think many Americans are having. As you saw from the intro, you saw not a Democrat. You saw a lawyer on the CNN panel in the intro said that, hey, because I believe that Trump's picks aren't qualified, I believe that we should be able to overrule Trump. Okay, by that logic, I could believe that Kamala Harris wasn't qualified. I could think she was a DEI hire. She's not qualified to be president, so therefore we're allowed to just overrule her because we think, oh, she's a woman. She don't have no opinion. But if the American people had voted for her, we would have had to respect her power. And this is the problem with the Democrats. They have this rules for thee and not for me mentality. Democrats got nothing. Democrats' argument, anything is it's unconstitutional if I don't agree with it, if I don't like it. That's their argument. They say, be transparent. Trump says, fine. Now it's your turn. Essentially, that's how America sees it. It's very common. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. You want someone to be transparent? They'll expect you to be transparent. Because end of the day, it's ingrained in our DNA. Fairness is ingrained in our DNA. Two-way street. It's a two-way street. How you treat me is how I could treat you. If you treat me with racial hostility, don't be surprised when I lash out at you with racial hostility. And this is my biggest problem with DEI, which we're going to talk about it probably tomorrow or another video. But that's my biggest problem with DEI. This is my biggest problem with leftists and Democrats. They want to treat you any kind of way, and then they want to play victim when they get the treatment they've been looking for. If you can't take the heat, Democrats, stay out of the kitchen. If you want to call someone a threat to democracy, and then we come back and call you guys frauds, protectors of bureaucracy, liars, demonizers, fearmongers. Oh my God, it's such a false perception. We call you senile. Like we call you little names like that, but you literally call our candidate Hitler. You compare our candidate to some of the worst people in history, and you get mad when people call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. You get mad when we call Kamala Harris DEI Harris, DEI hire, crackling Kamala. You get mad at name calling, but you're demonizing all our candidates. But you get mad at name calling. Yeah, okay. This is the problem with the Democrats. They're seen as everyone has to do things for me. Democrats are like a narcissist being in a relationship with a narcissist. Everything's about them. They only look at what's in their purview, what's in their best interest, but never look at what's comparable, what's compromisable between the two. And I think this is the biggest problem with this relationship. They want transparency, but when it's their turn to be transparent, no, that's fascism. They always got an excuse. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What you guys thinking in the comment section? I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. Share the video if you feel so inclined, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.